Bro, stop what you're doing right now. Because what I'm about to show you is the reason this fight has to happen. Two guys, both undefeated, both claiming to be the best in the division. And one of them just said something so disrespectful that the other one had to respond. And here's the thing, the response was even colder. I'm not going to tell you what it was yet. Stay with me. Because by the time we get to the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this is the most important fight in boxing right now. And no, I'm not talking about the power. I'm not talking about the records. I'm talking about what's going on behind closed doors. Let's get into it. So for anyone who needs a quick refresh, Gervonta "Tank" Davis, Baltimore-bred, knockout artist, the most exciting fighter in boxing pound for pound when it comes to putting people to sleep. The man has a finish rate that makes promoters nervous and fans lose their minds. Shakur Stevenson, Newark, silver medalist from the 2016 Olympics, 3-division world champion at 28 years old. Eddie Hearn literally said he's pound for pound top 5 in the world. Top 5. At 28. Now these two have been in the same conversation for years. Same era, same weight class, both undefeated, both elite. And somehow, no cap, the fight has never happened. Not because of injuries, not because of availability, because of ego, politics, and the fact that both of these guys would rather die than admit they need each other. But here's where it gets interesting. Something shifted recently. Tank announced he wants to retire. He started talking about being there for his kids, going back to school, building himself as a person. His coach Calvin Ford confirmed camp is back in session after a long layoff, saying the hunger is back. Meanwhile, Shakur went up to 140, picked up another belt, and Adeyemi Odipo said it plainly. Shakur only moved up because he couldn't get the fight he actually wanted at 135. And that fight is Tank Davis.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Tank. It's definitely time to step in that ring with Shakur. Now, Tank, I know you're dealing with a lot of life stuff going on right now, and you gonna be away from boxing for some time, from my knowledge. But, buddy, when you come back, nobody needs to be on your radar but Shakur. I'm gonna give Shakur his flowers, bro. Shakur definitely showed up. I just think him and Tank are two completely different fighters. I've been told y'all this. This is my opinion. I feel like Tank is a puncher and Shakur basically is skilled. He rolls off defense. But it is time though, Tank. I'm not gonna lie. All that the picky, choosy, nah. Shakur, he done showed it. He done showed like, hey, I'm ready, bro. I don't want to see any other match besides Shakur and Tank. That's my #1 match. I have heard about Shakur and Ryan Garcia. I think that'll be, decent, but Shakur might get the best of him. I also know about the Keyshawn and Devin Haney. I got Keyshawn. But yeah, Tank and Shakur, that's the one.
So now we've got a guy flirting with retirement and a guy chasing him across weight classes. Stay with me because this whole thing is about to go sideways. Let's talk about what Tank actually said about Shakur. Because bro, he did not hold back. In a live interview, someone asked Tank if Shakur would be his hardest fight. And Tank goes, hell no. Just like that, no hesitation. Then he keeps going. He says, show me something Shakur did that was spectacular. Show me something outrageous. He says Shakur has no defense, no offense, no power, and no technique. He literally said Shakur never slipped a punch in his life, just backed up and moved around. And then, wait for it, he called it easy work. Easy work. Against a 3-division world champion that Terence Crawford says is built like Floyd Mayweather. Now here's my reaction to that. Tank has knockout power that makes elite fighters retire on their stool. We have seen him end careers in a single round. So when a man with that kind of power calls someone easy work, people listen. That is not a nothing statement. But the problem is everyone who actually knows boxing disagrees with him. Every single one. Terence Crawford went on record and said Shakur is different. He said people call him boring the same way they called Floyd boring, because defensive fighters make it look too easy. Crawford's actual quote was that Tank is not going to be able to hit Shakur like he hits everybody else. And he said Tank knows that. That is Crawford calling Tank out without calling him out. Then Shawn Porter jumps in. Porter says if you've been watching how Tank reacts whenever Shakur's name comes up, there is something Tank sees in Shakur that most people don't. He compares the whole matchup to Wilder versus Fury, power versus craft, and he says this won't be settled by one big punch. He calls it the most strategic fight either man will ever have. Now from Shakur's side, he's been incredibly calculated in how he talks about Tank. He doesn't clown him. He actually breaks down Tank's game on a technical level. He talked about the Frank Martin fight, said Tank deliberately let Martin waste energy, gas himself out, and then finished him in round 8. He said that's the experience you can't replicate. And then he said whenever Tank says let's fight, that's when it happens. He's not chasing, he's waiting. But behind the calm exterior, Shakur went on to say something that reframes this entire rivalry. He said Tank knew from the moment Shakur started rising that he was the biggest threat in the division. And Shakur believes every dismissive comment, every "what has he done" interview, is Tank trying to make the matchup seem unmarketable before it ever gets made. That is a calculated read, and honestly bro, it tracks. The outside voices on this one are unanimous, and that almost never happens in boxing. Andre Ward said Shakur can box as long as he wants because he doesn't take punishment. He said we still don't know how great Shakur can be because he hasn't been pushed to his ceiling yet. That from a man who retired undefeated as one of the greatest of his era. Tim Bradley said flat out he wants Tank versus Shakur more than any other fight in boxing. He says it settles the question of skill versus power and determines who actually leads the division. Eddie Hearn called Shakur massively underrated and said everyone inside boxing knows how good he is, even if the casual audience hasn't caught up yet. And then there's the take that nobody wants to admit is true. One analyst said Shakur is simply not a big star yet. After all the belts, all the wins, the conversation dies down within a week. But if he fights Tank, that changes permanently. This fight doesn't just make money, it makes legacies.
Even though I know we might not ever really get the fight, Tank and Shakur probably got to be like one of the biggest fights like in history as of right now, especially in lightweight history. Like that's just a fight that we need, everybody needs. Like it's just too big to not happen. But I know, like it's too good to be true, like for it to happen. But you know who I'm rocking with. But hey.
Greg Hackett broke down the stylistic contrast in a way that was genuinely brilliant. He said coaching against Tank is tempo-based. You have to match his physicality or you get stopped. But coaching against Shakur is almost conversational. You can talk your way through rounds because he controls the pace so completely. Two completely different problems, one fight. Here's where it gets crazy. In the middle of all this public back and forth, all the interviews, all the dismissals, Shakur revealed that he and Tank have been going back and forth in DMs, private messages. He said Tank DM'd him talking crazy not long ago, and they've been going at it behind the scenes for a while. Think about that. The same guy publicly saying Shakur hasn't done anything, saying he's easy work, saying he's boring. That same guy is privately engaging, privately reacting, privately fired up enough to slide into his messages. Shakur's read on that was short and precise. He said that's insecurity. That's a man who knows privately what he denies publicly. And then there's the retirement angle that nobody is talking about seriously enough. Tank said he's been having thoughts about being done with the sport. He said he wants to get himself together, be present for his kids, go back to school. His exact framing was building himself as a person. Now either that's genuine and the fight window is closing faster than anyone realizes, or Tank is using retirement talk to regain control of the narrative and come back on his own terms. Like Shawn Porter predicted, the same way Tyson came out of prison. Porter said when Tank comes back from his legal situation, he's going to be the most dangerous version of himself. The hunger that builds in adversity. And Tank already has that explosive edge naturally. So which is it? Is Tank walking away? Or is this the setup for the biggest return in recent boxing history? Here's where I land on this. The fight is inevitable. Both men are in their primes right now. Both are free agents at the same time, which almost never lines up. The promotional barriers are lower than they've ever been. And every credible voice in the sport, Crawford, Ward, Porter, Bradley, Hearn, is pointing at the same door. No cap, this is the fight. Not Haney, not Garcia, not Lomachenko. This. Two undefeated fighters from the same era, same division, with a real rivalry, real animosity, and DMs to prove it. The division is in a holding pattern until these two settle it in the ring. The only question left is who blinks first. And based on everything I just showed you, it's not going to be Shakur. Drop your prediction in the comments right now. And if you want the full breakdown on what happens if this fight actually gets made, subscribe because that video is coming.